What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where me, Weezy, Monk, and Gordo break down the upcoming card from a DFS perspective and give our predictions on the fights as well. Also, be sure to leave a like and subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio if you do not subscribe already. And then, as always, guys, we're going to go through our fight to target, our fight to fade, our fighter to fade, our favorite dog, favorite GPP play, favorite cash play, favorite value play, our dart throw, go over our lineups for last week, see how we did, go over our lineups this week, answer any questions you guys have, and give our quick picks at the end. So, yeah, should be a good card. Don't know if it's going to be able to top the card from last week, but still, I think this card is pretty underrated. 12 fights, pretty much everyone good besides the Parisian Baudot fight. Not overly excited about Jinyu Fry, but other than that, I mean, we have some bangers. So looking forward to it. We'll kick it off to you first, Monk. How you doing? You looking forward to the card?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Actually, yeah, I mean, like you said, after last week, we got quite the hangover to get over. But, man, this one has some real potential, some absolute killers towards the top, a decent middle of the road for DraftKings, and some really interesting dog plays this week as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Gordo, how about you? Looking forward to the card?
For sure, but I missed one event and everything goes crazy. Like I'm getting the notifications of all these fights ending. But no, I'm really excited for this one, but it is going to be really hard to top last week. I think it's really fun, lots of talent on this card and lots of opportunities to make some money. I'm sure we'll agree on some, disagree on some others, but I'm just excited to hear your thoughts and excited to get at it.
Absolutely. Should be a fun show. And last but not least, we have our Uncle Weezy. Weezy, what is up? You looking forward to the card?
Yeah, this is going to be a good one, man. I love this main event, Tsarukyan Gamrot, not just from a DraftKings perspective, but I mean, just from a technical perspective. Two great wrestlers, two really well-rounded fighters with good gas tanks. I can't wait for that main event. And then there's some really good fights on. I mean, you were talking about it on Stat Diggers, Brady. You got a Nurmagomedov on this card. You know, you got Shavkat Rakhmonov on this card. You got Rodolfo Vieira versus Chris Curtis. It's a banger from top to bottom, so I'm really looking forward to chopping it up.
Absolutely. Cannot wait. Let's shout out the chat real quick. We got Chronic Combat Conversation, which, by the way, Monk and Lou, I believe, are going to be on there, and they're going to be going live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, so check them out. We got Mushroom in the chat looking for some violence. Philip, we got Justin, we got Brandon. Thank you all for hanging out. Leave a like, guys, and as always, if you have any questions, type them in the chat. I will get to them at the very end. So, as always, guys, I say we start with our fight to target. And I'm going to kick this one off because I don't want anybody to steal it. And it's the obvious one on the board here. I'll take it. We have Chris Curtis going against Rodolfo Vieira. The fight doesn't go to decision, is currently sitting at minus 750. And, yeah, I mean, this fight is pretty simple to break down. And even Chris Curtis himself said either Rodolfo Vieira submits him in the very first round or, Chris Curtis knocks him out in the second. And that's exactly how me and probably most people see this playing out. If Rodolfo Vieira does get the fight down to the mat early on, he's going to be very, very live to submit Chris Curtis. And if he does not get Chris Curtis down, or if he's able to get him down and Chris Curtis survives that second round, I think Chris Curtis does knock him out. And on top of that, we have Chris Curtis 8,600, Rodolfo Vieira 7,600. It is really hard to see the winner not find its way on the optimal lineup. So this is a fight where I'm going to be 100% exposed. I would be shocked if this fight wasn't optimal, especially on a 12-fight slate here. So, Monk, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target this week?
I mean, that is the good one here. I'm definitely going to be on the Rodolfo side because Chris Curtis came out saying his favorite band was Nickelback. That's an automatic fade for me. I'll go ahead and give you the main event, Arman Tsarukyan, Mateusz Gamrot. I absolutely love this fight. The upside for both of these guys is huge. If my mouse would decide to cooperate here, the upside is crazy. Almost, 4.25 and 4.3 points a minute, respectively. Well over 100 points when they win. Their defense is the interesting thing here. Both of them only allowing around 1.43 points on average per minute. Fantastic value, over 10 value from each of these guys. And Tsarukyan has 6 fights. Gamrot has 4 fights. So this is great value I see here. I absolutely love these guys for a 3-round fight, but now you're telling me we get 10 extra minutes. It's fantastic. Each of these guys, actually in their total last 6 fights, they've made the optimal lineup 3 times combined, so 50%. I'm thinking about, spoiler alert, maybe stacking this one because of the huge takedown upside from each guy. I mean, this could be, a fight with several takedowns on each side, maybe a bit of control time or one, and these guys are going to rain down ground and pound when they do have top position. So I think there won't be, more than 3 seconds at a clip where neither of these guys aren't scoring points Give me Tsarukyan and Gamrot. I absolutely love this fight. And in my opinion, probably the most exciting fight on the card, the one I'm most looking forward to.
You're looking forward to that one more than Josh Parisian at Baudot?
Oh, you're sorry. I totally forgot about that one. My
It's
bad.
right. It's okay. Yeah. Weezy, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target?
Yeah, I kind of figured those two would be talked about. I wanted to bring up JP Bays versus Cody Durden. Both of these guys are in high work rate fights, and they both wrestle. They both get knockdowns, and in particular, JP Bays gets knocked down a lot. I see it being a high volume fight with high grappling upside and a sneaky chance for a finish. Add to all that the fact that the salaries are $8,000 and $8,200. You could save some cash to get the finishers that you like up top. But JP Bays' fights are the highest scoring fights on the slate, second highest, with 132.85 points scored per fight. And with Durden, it's 115.71. And Bays is allowing 5.45 DraftKings points per minute in his fights so far. So these guys are pretty poor defensively, both of them. And like I say, they both like to wrestle. They were both getting knockdowns and getting knocked down. So I think it should be a really good fight to target. And I love the fact that the salaries are mid-range.
I like it. I like all three so far. Gordo, what do you have for us here?
Yeah, those are the three. And it's always fun doing this show because I have to think of what are you guys going to play. So I'm going one off the board here, one that's maybe not talked about as much. I'm taking the Morozov versus Paiva fight. And I think that's a fight that's really not going talked about as much this week. And the key to that fight for me is going to be Morozov. I mean, this guy fights at a pretty good pace. Over 3.5 fans points per minute. And then you look at his opponent in Paiva, who's absorbing 5.11 strikes per minute as well. But I'm labeling Morozov as my Phil Hawes this week. I mean, he's the more talented fighter, in my opinion, but he could slip on a banana peel anytime. I mean, he's been clipped before. He's been subbed. This guy gets hurt, and I think that's his biggest downfalls because he's a very, very talented fighter with lots of upside in many areas. But he seems to just get hit sometimes, and he seems to get hurt. So I do think that Morozov does have a higher ceiling. I do think he's going overlooked, especially with those guys top, and he does have the ability to go out there and put up 10x, no problem. With that being said, targeting this fight from both sides because Paiva can definitely capitalize off of the liabilities of Morozov, and I think it's going to be a fun fight and all, and I think it scores pretty well.
Sounds good. I like it. I like all four there. Four very good fights to target. Let us move on to our fight to fade, and there's a very obvious one. Weezy, I'll let you take it. What is your fight to fade for this week?
Yeah, it's just the most obvious one on the slate. It's Vanessa Demopoulos versus Jinyu Fry. Both ladies have DraftKings work rates below 2 points per minute. So it's 1.93 for Fry and it's 1.62 for Demopoulos. Fry's fights are very low volume, and they're only averaging 92.37 DraftKings points scored total, which is by far the lowest on the slate. The next lowest is 105 for Christos Giagos. So 92.37 for Jinyu Fry. So it's just her fights, kind of like lull her opponents into a very slow paced fight. So, and Demopoulos has never gotten a takedown at the UFC level. So, even though Demopoulos would probably rather be on the mat grappling, it probably doesn't get there unless Jinyu brings it there. So otherwise, I see it being a low volume striking match, and it'll just be an easy one to fade, especially with what the salary we have for Jinyu Fry right now.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I tried to find something different, to be a little different, but I can't give anything else out there. Nothing really sticks out. I think that's a pretty obvious one on the table there. I like Jinyu Fry to win the fight. I think she wins it at a pretty good clip, but 9,200 for somebody that doesn't throw any volume. She's not going to go for takedowns. If she does, she probably gets subbed. Just pretty easy pass for me. Gordo, is there anything sticking out to you as far as a fade other than that fight?
Yeah, well, of course, that's the obvious one, but I'm gonna fade a bit of Moisés versus Giagos this week. I think Moisés fights at a really, really slow pace, and I can't really bring myself to playing him over the guys in that area. I can't really seem to be fitting him in my lineups as much. I'm more so leaning the dog, and even at that, I don't think either of these guys fight at that high of a pace. So I can't see them scoring that well in a win either. I'm grasping at straws here because the obvious answer is that Frey Demopoulos fight, but that is going to be my second option.
Sounds good. And then Monk, how about you?
Yeah, I'm also going to grasp at the few remaining straws and give you a very risky fade in Tafon and Nchukwi and Carlos Ulberg, the light heavyweight fight. Honestly, it's a fade to what Ulberg has shown, or actually lack thereof, in the UFC so far. He scores very well per minute, but when he won, he only scored 69 points. That was against Fabio Charant, a fighter that a lot of us thought that Ulberg should be able to finish, and just kind of, I don't know if you want to say toyed with him, but it was very kind of, just kind of not inactive. I just don't know what to call it. I just did not enjoy watching that fight for sure. And the 69 points in that win kind of backs me up on that. And Nchukwi, though, when he wins over 2 wins, 103.34. He did get chin checked last time against, I believe, Nurmagomedov. Yeah, he that flying knee in the 3rd round. Carlos Ulberg is going to be the taller fighter. I was going to say longer, but they have an identical reach. But I just have a feeling Ulberg is going to, use that wide stance and stay at range most of the fight. I have a feeling this could go into later rounds and possibly finish not finish, but end in a decision. And for that reason, and for the reason I don't want to give you Frey and Demopoulos, I will pick this one to fade a little bit, but I will be a bit trepidatious, shall we say, when it comes to the actual fade. But I kind of think this one goes to decision, and the winner may not score very well if that happens.
Sounds good there. Glad we got 3 different answers there. Let us move on to our fighter to fade. And I'm actually going to go with Thiago Moisés here at 9,000. I mean, it's really hard not to go up an extra 500 more and get Umar Nurmagomedov. It's really hard to not, go down and get like a Chris Curtis, get a TJ Brown. There's a lot of other options I like besides Thiago Moisés, who I don't like his volume on the feet. I think he's kind of submission dependent and early submission dependent in terms of scoring well here. I think he wins the fight, but I'm not too confident about Thiago Moisés here. But at 9K, I think I'm not going to have a ton of Moisés here. Monk, who is the fighter that's sticking out to you to fade here?
I'm going to go with Mr. JP Buys this week. I just can't back him up at pretty much any price. I mean, 1.28 points a minute. That's all you're going to get. That's all we've gotten, rather, so far in 2 UFC fights. And these aren't like first-round finishes. This is 23 minutes of UFC fight time, 1.28 points a minute. Also, in that time, he's giving up 7.11 points a minute and 131 on average when he loses. Also, you get to pay up $700 from his average salary. I mean, what is there to like about this other than the flash knockout possibility of Durden? Buys giving up 2.18 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Durden is basically scoring that offensively in those 2 categories. I'm pretty heavy on the Durden side. I think he gets it done. The strength of schedule, not even close for the last 5. Durden's is at least respectable with a 76% opponent win rate in his last 5, or opponent win percentage, I should say. JP Buys is almost 20 points below that at 59. Losses to Silva and Jackson. I mean, I'm just going to be on the Durden side unless JP wants to show me what I can pay for $8,200. That's going to be a big fade for me.
Fading JP Buys there. Yeah, I'm on the Durden side myself. Weezy, how about you? What fighter are you fading for this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's Jinyu Fry. It's the worst salary pretty much that you can have at 9,200 for somebody that scores 1.93 points. That would be about, if my math is correct, 57 points in a decision win for Jinyu Fry at 1.93 points per minute. So let me see here. Yeah, it's just a terrible option. And like I mentioned before, her points are, when you add up the winners and the losing score, is scoring 92.37 points. So let's say the loser scores 20 points. That means the winner is scoring 72. It's just an incredibly low volume fight. And I was looking for some other people to fade on this card, and there are a couple, maybe others. But, I mean, I just want to say again how important it is, I feel, that you fade Jinyu Fry.
Absolutely. I agree. Gordo, how about you? What fighter are you fading for this week?
You know what? I have 4 options for every fight, but this one is going to be the same one as Uncle Weezy here. Jinyu Fry is the obvious option. There's no way you can pay 9.2K for her, I don't think. Her highest scoring win is 72 points. I can throw out all these numbers, or I can tell you just there's a lot better options. That's what I'm going to do. Not a huge fan of her up top, and I know it's going to be a popular opinion, but what else do you want me to say when she is a very obvious option this week?
Sounds good. I like it. We got Jeff Slaughter in the building. What is up, Slaughter? How you doing? Let's move on to our favorite dog of the week, and we'll kick it off to you, Monk. Who's your favorite dog for this week?
Well, I've heard a lot of people slandering Thiago Moisés, and I tend to agree this week as well. Christos Giagos is who I'm going to give you 7,200, and I'll give you another little spoiler. My lineups are going to be pretty top heavy this week for the obvious plays that we have, so you're going to have to balance that out, and I think Giagos is a fantastic option at 7,200. It's one of the best dog salaries. He's made the optimal in 1 out of his past 2 fights. 3.3 points a minute is just a bit above average for the card. 97 points in a win is top 10. In fact, the 8th highest on the card within fighters that have at least 3 fights in the UFC. He's also $671 under his average salary, so we do love to see that. He scores 1.72 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Thiago Moisés giving up 0.6 points a minute in those categories, respectively. Moisés also sub 70% takedown defense. Giagos is controlling 65% of the grappling time he's involved in. He has lost 2 of his last 3, one to Arman Tsarukyan, no shame in that, it seems like. And then the other 2, Drakkar Klose, which is not quite as good of a loss as the Tsarukyan loss. But I'm kind of just, I want to play Giagos because I need that salary relief. And Thiago Moisés, honestly, I've not been impressed with his past few fights. And again, there's a lot of fighters for me this week that are going to have to show me before I'm interested in rostering them in a significant part of GPP lineups. Thiago Moisés is probably going to be one of those guys. So give me his opponent, Giagos, for some salary relief and the possibility for a win. If he makes the optimal, if he wins at that salary, it makes the optimal 3 out of 4 times it wins. So those are huge upside numbers for Giagos for me.
Sounds good. I like it. For me, I'm going to go with Rodolfo Vieira at 7,600. I think he's going to be a pretty popular play this week. Looks like the money line is closed a lot. He's currently plus 103. And yeah, I think somebody gets finished here and somebody gets finished in the very first couple rounds. If Vieira gets the fight down to the mat, I think he is extremely live for a submission. I did not like what I saw in terms of the takedown defense of Curtis. I did not like him, giving up his back a ton of times as well. And I think if Vieira gets on top of Curtis, it will be over shortly after. But again, somebody's getting finished here, 7,600. I like Vieira quite a bit. I'm going to have a ton of them, and he will be my highest owned dog. Gordo, who is your favorite dog for this week?
I'm right there with you. He's my highest owned dog too, but let's get a bit different here. He's number 1, Giagos number 2, number 3 for me is going to be Cody Durden. Technically, he's a dog, right? I can throw him in here. I do think he has advantages in a lot of areas of this fight. I think his grappling upside. I think he's just a better overall fighter. Then you add in he's facing JP Base, a guy who's been knocked down. You have that knockdown upside. You have the takedown upside. For me, I just think he's the better fighter, and that finish is definitely not off the table. I think he has a super high ceiling this week at 8K, and really, I just think he shouldn't be the underdog at all here. I'm liking him to win. I like his ceiling. Not much more to be said, but I do really like Vieira this week as well.
Right there with you. Weezy, how about you? Who is your favorite dog for this week?
Yeah, I actually thought I'd be different saying Cody, but I think he's got a really high ceiling in this fight. He's been scoring 4.04 DraftKings points per minute, and Baze has been allowing 5.45 if you include his Contender Series fight. He's $8,000. Baze has been finished in 3 of 4 losses. I see there being grappling and potentially finish upside here, and the price is right. And the one thing that I hear the narrative about Baze is like, oh, well, he's this really high-level wrestler. He's with the South African wrestling team. The South Africans don't have like a big wrestling culture down there. It's not a big deal to be on their wrestling team. And a guy like Durden, a state champion from Georgia, I believe, I think a lot of times when somebody's got this, like an Olympic wrestling background, not unlike Darren Wynn last week, you begin to underplay their opponent's wrestling background. And in this case, Cody's a damn good wrestler, and he's got good ground and pound. I like the striking. I think it's going to be a great fight to target both sides of in DraftKings. But in this case, I really do think Durden wins this fight. I'm actually thinking of betting the money line too. So I like Cody Durden at 8,000.
Sounds good. I like it as well. Sean V in the chat does not like it, but I do like it right there with you, Weezy. Let us move on to the next thing. We have our favorite GPP play, and I will start with you, Weezy. Who are you liking here this week?
Okay, for GPP, I've got Shavkat Rakhmonov, obviously. I mean, what better way to get upside than to take a 15-0 fighter with 15 finishes who can do it with standing strikes, ground and pound, or submissions. He's got fantastic conditioning, fantastic durability, an easy spot for a high upside finishing potential here. Shavkat scoring 3.8 DraftKings points per minute thus far. And if my stats are correct, I believe Magny has been finished in more than half of his UFC losses. Let me just look at that real quick here.
I think it's like 6 of 8, maybe 7 of 8.
It's a lot, you know.
UFC losses, I think it's either 4 or 5 of 6. It's something crazy.
Yeah, I've got 5 of 7 for
5
Magny.
of 7. There we go.
Yeah. So it's 3 submissions, 2 knockouts, and Shavkat can get it any way he wants. You know, I mean, he's just so good with the submissions. His ground and pound is sick, and I mean, he threw that spinning heel kick to knock down Carlston Harris in his last fight. He's just such a spectacular moment winner. And you have to have those guys like that in the high upside lineups. So that's where I'm spending up to.
I like it. For me, I'm going to go with TJ Brown here. I actually think he's going to be somewhat low owned because we have Arman Tsarukyan 9,100. We have Shavkat 9,300. And then we have Umar 9,500. I think those are going to be the most popular up in that range. I think TJ Brown could go a little bit under owned here. It is hard to just TJ Brown at times, but I think he goes out here and submits Shayilan. Shayilan has been finished in like 6. He's been finished like 6 times by submission, 8 times total. TJ Brown, very good grappler, was really close to finishing Charles Rosa a couple times. I think if he gets Shayilan in those same spots, he submits him here. I think there's takedown upside, knockout upside. I think Brown's a much better striker, much better grappler. And on top of that, he is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. So just much more reason to like TJ Brown to get it done and get it done in dominant fashion. And like I said, I think it's going to be pretty low owned as well. So give me TJ Brown, 8,900. Gordo, who are you liking for GPP this week?
Well, I'm glad Weezy took Shavkat because I met Neil Magny in Columbus, so I can't slander him too much because he's a great guy, but I do like Shavkat a lot. I was actually going to go the low-owned value play TJ Brown as well, but let's talk about Arman Tsarukyan. Main event, he's got 5 rounds to work. The guy fights at a really good pace. And even at that, I mean, look at his last 3 fights. He put up over 110 in each one of those. The guy is just an absolute demon. And I mean, you guys did your stat diggers. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that one, but he just has all the tools to win this fight, all the tools to do very, very well. I mean, if you take away his debut in Makhachev, this guy's stats are through the roof. He's such a good technical fighter. It's hard for me to back Gamrot because I do think the price is wide, but I can't see Arman Tsarukyan making any of those mental errors, making any of those technical errors, and losing this fight at a high clip. I think he wins this one at a high clip. I think he gets a late finish. Takedown upsides there. His ground and pound is nasty. We saw that from his last fight. I do think that it's going to be a really fun, high-paced fight, and I think he edges it in the later rounds.
I like it. Good one there. Monk, how about you? Who are you liking?
Man, I thought this one was going to be taken by everybody. This is the most obvious. I love all the plays, though. I'm with you. I had all 3 of those written down. Umar Nurmagomedov at 9,500. I mean, that's the magic spot for DraftKings GPPs. Very quickly, 4.8 points a minute, 108, almost 109 when he loses, giving up 0.32 points per minute in almost 12 minutes. 0.32 points a minute is ridiculous. Nate Maness on the other side, giving up 4.16 points a minute. Also, you're actually getting Nurmagomedov $50 cheaper than his average salary. So just want to throw that out there. But the salary voodoo on here, check out how the $9,500 salary does. It's been used 24 times since January 1st of last year. 13 times it's made the optimal. That's a 54% rate every time it steps into the cage. The next highest salary is 40%. So we are way above number 2 here. 83% win rate, 60% optimal in wins. By far the best salary to play. Just made the optimal with Stamen last week. I see it being no different for Umar Nurmagomedov. And until he shows me otherwise, this is an absolute smash spot at 9,500.
Sounds good. I like it. I like all 4 of our plays there. Let us move on to our favorite cash play, and I'll kick this one off. There's a lot of great options for cash. I like Shavkat. I like Arman. I like Umar as well. My favorite one is probably going to be Shavkat here at 9,300. I think he goes out there and finishes Neil Magny. You guys talked about it. Neil Magny's been finished a ton. I believe 6 times Neil Magny's been finished. And I think Shavkat, a guy that has a 100% finish rate, dangerous everywhere, power in his hands, power in his legs, a submission game as well. I think Shavkat gets his 16th finish, which is crazy. And I think he moves up the ladder and just continues this run he's been on. This guy's been looking impressive. And I think this is a great matchup, a great step up. And I think he passes it with flying colors. I like Shavkat. I think he's safe. You don't have to worry about Neil Magny going out there and really finishing him. If he did, I'd be shocked. I like Rakhmonov here a lot in cash at 9,300. Weezy, who are you liking in cash this week?
The cash game play that I've got for this week is Arman Tsarukyan, 4.25 DraftKings points per minute. And if you throw out the Islam fight, the dude is putting out absolute video game numbers. I think he's only allowing 4% control time and controlling his opponents at just under 50%, 100% takedown defense against 10 attempts outside of the Islam fight. He's just really he's so well-rounded, so well-conditioned, and he's doing such a good job of deciding where the fight takes place. And, when it's a 5-round fight added to that for cash lineups on a 12-fight card, you got to fade the main event at your own risk. And I just think that I think the way Tsarukyan has been able to dominate the control time positions outside of the Makhachev fight makes it really dangerous to roster Gamrot. So I think if you're going to be on one side, it's got to be the Tsarukyan side. And I think he might even get this done inside the distance.
Sounds good. Monk, how about you? Who are you liking for cash here?
Well, I agree with you, Brady. I only had a couple down for this one, and then we've kind of got into my other guy, Cody Durden. Shavkat, I'll give you some quick stats, though, man. 9,300, 3.8 points a minute, 103 when he wins. Only allows 1.5 when he per minute against his opponents, rather. 7 submission victories. I think 3 of them have been by rear naked choke. 2 of them have been guillotine. And then 2 or 3, must be another 2, have been by triangle, something like that. So he is submitting you from absolutely everywhere. Your back, his back, guillotine position, everything. So I just think this is a terrible matchup for Magny. Shavkat, much like my breakdown for Umar, until he shows me otherwise, fade at your own risk, guys. Like I don't know why you would. I just don't have any proof as to why I should fade him when he's putting up points like this. Plus the whole Falcon animal hat thing. I mean, that has to be worth an extra. I mean, DraftKings should really give at least 7 points for that. If you walk out wearing a hat that was fashioned from an animal that you trained. I don't know if the animal fashioned the hat. I don't know how good Shavkat's falconry is when it comes to training animals, but I absolutely love this. I think it's a smash spot. GPPs, cash, no matter what. Love Shavkat until I see otherwise.
Wow, not only does he have a 100% finish rate, but he's training animals to make hats. I've never heard anything like that's awesome.
I don't know what they're doing over there, but it sounds awesome.
That is amazing. Gordo, who are you liking for cash this week?
Well, the reason I didn't talk about him GPP Monk is because I'm talking about Umar here. It's the squarest pick is the minus 1,200, but it's something you have to acknowledge. Umar Nurmagomedov. I mean, he is 14-0, averaging 109 points so far in the UFC. This guy's an absolute killer, and I'm comparing him a lot to Cody Stamann this week, just because he has that floor that 9.5K should bring, but he also has the ability to go out there and get a finish. We've seen Maness almost finish before, and Umar he seems to be a killer out there. He seems to have that finishing instinct that other people with their Nurmagomedov name didn't have in their debuts. So I think that everywhere the fight goes, Umar has this one covered. Of course, 9.5K, you expect that, but when you're playing a cash game, you want to go out there, you want to get those guaranteed points. And I think Umar is the highest floor on here, as well as just a really safe win at 9.5K.
Absolutely. I like it. Let's move on to our favorite value play in Weezy. We will start with you. Who are you liking for some value this week?
So my value pick this week is going to be Tafon and Nchukwi. I love the price at 7,900, and Ulberg's one-dimensional. He's a kickboxer, but he prefers to use his legs more than his hands. Tafon might be able to mix in the wrestling here as well. He's got better conditioning, and he's scoring 3.59 DraftKings points per minute thus far. So at dog money with a solid chance to win from a high-volume guy, I think 7,900 is really good value. And what I saw on tape here is that Ulberg's fantastic at range when you just stand in front of him if you're not pressuring him at all. But Tafon does like the pressure. He walks forward like a zombie. And he's got the same reach here as Ulberg. I think if he marches down Ulberg, not only is he going to win this fight, but I think he's going to probably knock this dude out. So at 7,900, I am a big fan of Nchukwi, and I've got a 1.5 unit bet on his money line this week as well.
Sounds good. I do like some Tafon myself. For me, this one is kind of one I struggle with, but something that does stick out, and I think it could definitely look like value after the fight, is going to be Sergey Morozov, 8,500. And Gordo, I completely agree with your breakdown. Like, this guy is kind of like Phil Oz. I think he has all the talent in the world, but he's chinny. We've seen him slow down before. This guy's been finished like 4 times, 3 by sub, 1 by knockout. He gets hurt a lot, but if he wins the fight, I expect a lot of takedowns here. I've never been really sold on Raulian Paiva. Paiva's been finished in 3 of his 4 losses in his own right. I think he has takedown upside, finish upside, And at 8,500, I'm willing to take some shots here on Sergey Morozov. Although, like I said, he can't be trusted. He's not somebody I'm going to go to in cash, really, but I think he does have some really good upside here. Monk, how about you? Who are you liking for a value play?
Man, there, like you said, not a lot this week. I almost, and thank God I didn't, because chat might have just wrung me out to dry. Josh Parisian is what I almost said out loud. Can you believe it? Instead, I'm going to pivot off of that awesome play to maybe a guy that might be a bit underowned, and Brian Kelleher here, 7,500. Nobody's talked about him yet. A lot of people are on Batista this week, and for good reason. But Kelleher has made the optimal lineup in 2 of his previous 4 fights, averages almost a top 10 number on the card, 3.39 points per minute, 104.63 when he wins. This is over 8 UFC wins, so no joke. That's the second highest number out of all fighters that have at least 3 UFC fights. He's coming in 250 under his salary. He does give up a decent amount of points, but less than what he scores. So that's what I'm looking for. When he wins by knockout, 102, sub 104, decision wins 106 is what he's averaging. So I'm going to take a little bit of a value stab on Brian Kelleher. I think he's going to be a bit underowned, and he definitely has the potential to win this fight over Batista.
Yep, absolutely. Glad you touched on that fight. I think that's a good fight as well. Gordo, how about you? Who are you liking for some value this week?
I got to start paying you guys to go first or something. We talked about a lot of them. I think TJ Brown is also the one I was going to go to. I know you talked about him earlier, so I'm not going to go too much into it. The reason I'm calling him value is because I think he definitely has like you mentioned, a really good path to victory here, and even a path to victory for a finish. And he's going very overlooked. I mean, look at the guys above him. You see why he's going overlooked, but it is hard, like you said, hard to trust TJ Brown, but I definitely think he has all the skills to get it done. I think that he can hit 10 times his value, no problem here. He's got the takedown upside. I think he's got the finish upside, and definitely the striking upside, in my opinion. I think he's the better fighter all around. Let's just hope he doesn't TJ Brown himself out there. So I do think he's good value. I do think he scores well. I just completely agree. It's hard to roster him, but I do think he is the rightful favorite and kind of sneaky, pivoting away from those better guys at top.
Absolutely, I agree. As long as he does not pull a TJ Brown, I think he scores very well also. Let's go to our dart throw. I'm going to kick this one off, and instead of giving a play here, I'm actually going to give a fight. I don't think anybody's going to target the Josh Parisian Alain Baudot fight, and really, why should you? But it's going to be very low owned, and I think they both could be so bad that one just gets finished, or maybe the ref just steps in because the fight is so bad. And at the end of the day, take a look at these finish rates between the two. Josh Parisian, a 85% finish rate. Alain Baudot, in 100% finish rate by knockout. He did have a DQ win as well. So these guys are finishing at a very, very high clip. And again, nobody's going to have it. It's heavyweight. It's sloppy. They're both going to throw a lot of volume. Would a finish really shock anybody? I think a lot of people are picking this to go the distance, including me. But again, it would have finished shock anybody. So this can be my fight to target. That's a dart throw. It's ugly, but you never know. Some of these fights hit sometimes, and nobody's playing them. So I do like that. Gordo, how about you? Who is your dart throw for this week?
Get the oranges ready. I'm picking Vanessa Demopoulos as my dart throw this weekend. I know. And let me just hear you. And I see a lot of us are on that scorecards no action bet. And I think it's a great bet. But we're not here to talk betting. We're here to talk DFS. And when we're talking about dart throws, we're looking at low owned and high ceilings. And I do think that Demopoulos has both of that. The best part about this pick, I think, is that ownership. No one's going to play Vanessa Demopoulos, and for good reason. She's probably going to lose this fight. But the way I look at it is she has a very high floor and a very high ceiling, except for she's going to hit her floor more often, right? She's probably going to go out there, lose a decision, score about 35, 40 points. But in the fight she wins, who's to say she's not going out there putting out 95, 100 in a submission win? I mean, her path to victory is probably submitting Jin Yu Frey. And I don't say it happens often, which is why it's a dart throw. But I do think it definitely does have a possibility to occur. And with that being said, at $7,000, you're getting that salary release. And I do think that it's not off the table. I mean, if she subbed Jin Yu Frey, I wouldn't be that surprised, if I'm being honest. So I do think that her upside is there. I think she's a decent floor and a very low ownership. So, I mean, I'm praying for it to happen. I might have her in my lineup with you guys. So just keep the hate away from me, but I'm cheering for her.
Sounds good. There we go. Monk, how about you? Who is your dart there for this week?
You know, I'd like to change it up, but I'm going to have to agree with Gordo here. Vanessa Demopoulos, it seems like a very obvious dart throw, $7,000. I mean, she Let's see. Frey has been subbed once in the UFC by OnlyFans model Kay Hansen. Demopoulos with 4 professional subs, 1 in the UFC. I believe almost 2 when she jumped into Joe Rogan's arms there. That was almost a second submission. Keep it off the books, though. Vanessa Demopoulos, 91 when she wins, or when she got her win. Like Gordo said, she might be 2% owned. I mean, 3% owned. It would be very easy to play less than 10% and still be above the field on Demopoulos. And I think he's absolutely right. For a dart throw and nothing more, I think that's who I'm going to go with, is little VD this week.
Let's go. Weezy, how about you? Who are you liking for a dart throw?
Yeah, I put down Alan Baudot this week because he's the more expensive in the Baudot Parisian fight. I mean, I think this thing has some decent finishing upside, and at these prices, if that happens, there are going to be very sneaky plays. Both Parisian and Baudot are giving up over 3.6 DraftKings points per minute, and it's like the 3rd or 4th most likely fight to finish inside the distance on the entire slate. Even though I think that Parisian could win by spinning fat kick or spinning fat fist. I think that Baudot's like the smoother striker here, and probably is going to win this fight. I mean, and he showed a little bit of durability for the first time in the Porter fight. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But, I don't have either of these guys in my lineup this week, but I kind of feel like it's a good fight to target, especially if you need to finish off in the mid-range. I think it's a good spot to get somebody with some finishing upside.
Absolutely. Terrifying.
What are the odds on the Honda style finish from Josh Parisian, where he just squats down and chop from Street Fighter 2? What are the odds of that?
I could even see like some kind of like a Three Stooges Mo hits Curly with like an ear boxing or something like that. It could be anything in this fight. This is a wild one.
Yeah, and typically those wild fights that everybody are expecting to like shit the bed, they score high a lot of times. So yeah, I don't hate some shots on that one. But yeah, we do have a decent amount of people, 70 of you hanging with us here live. If you guys have not already, be sure to leave a like. Also subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. Time us out on all the other content. We do go live every Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Next week, we do have a pay-per-view card. Cannot wait for UFC 276, I believe. It's going to be an absolute banger. Cannot wait for that. But next, we will go to our lineups for last week. If you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and put them in. And then once we are finished, we will answer any questions you guys have, whether it's anything. Just type them in. We'll get to them. So last week, it was pretty funny because Monk did not send the scores. And I hit him up. I said, Monk, where are these scores? And I thought for sure I got last place. I really, really shit the bed, but I did not get last place. Last place was actually, it was Gordo. Gordo had Cody Stamen, 137, Kevin Holland, 88, Calvin Kattar, 52, Dawkins, 1.8, Deron Wynn, 13.2, and Danny Chavez, 1.2, with a grand total of 293.48. In third place was Monk with Kevin Holland, 88, Kattar, 52, Derive, 18, McGee, 1, Delidze, 114, and Josh Emmett, 72, with 347.71. Second place, Uncle Weezy, Phil Haas, 135, Kattar, 52, Derive, 18, Rodriguez, 141, Court McGee, 1.2, and then Tony Kelly, 8.26. And then in first place was me, and yeah, like I said, I couldn't believe it, with Cody Stamen, 137, Holland, 88, Calvin Kattar, 52, Derive, 18, Josh Emmett, 72, and Tony Kelly, 8.26, with only 377.10. So was not pretty, but was able to get the dub there, which is always good. Needed to bounce back from last week. The grand totals, Gordo still in first place with 9,162.63. Second place is me with 8,552.41. Weezy with 8,418.94, and then Monk with 8,250.06. Congrats, Gordo. You are still in first place by 610 points.
Man, one day I'm going to take a week off and see how my scores do. I don't know what it is. I haven't got an Ironman points to join this thing, so I don't know. We'll have to see. But you guys are catching up. It's getting close, but this week it'll be some fun. Keep on going.
You guys think salary voodoo is just something I do, but it's a real thing, and I'm hexing everyone all the time.
Don't do that, Monk. But yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens this week. We'll give our lineups for this week here. I'm going to kick this one off because I don't want anybody to steal it. I'm going to go with Nurmagomedov, Rakhmonov, Tsarukyan, Giagos, Gamrot, and Vieira. Monk, how about you? What is your lineup for this week?
Remember when I said I wouldn't be surprised if someone had the exact same lineup as me?
Yep.
Yeah, that was the exact lineup.
That's why I went
have.
first. I really.
For now, oh Jesus, man, come back to me. Let one of these other guys go. I'll switch it up.
All right, my bad, Monk. Gordo, how about you? What do you like for this week?
Listen to this. It's not the same, but I've got Nurmagomedov, Rakhmonov, Tsarukyan, Vieira, Giagos, and Demopoulos.
Wow, that's very close. Nice. And then Weezy, how about you?
Okay, so I got Rakhmonov, Tsarukyan, going Thiago Moisés, Cody Durden, Tafon and Nchukwi, and I'm punting with Nate Maness.
Oh, shit.
Nurmagomedov is going down. You heard it here first. I don't actually believe that, but I think that Maness at 6,700 is a great way to go up and get a lot of those other fighters that you like in the top range, and then you can mess around in the mid-range to fill out your lineup. So that's what I did.
Sounds good. There you go. And then Monk, how about you? Did you figure it out?
Yeah, I'll for now I'll switch it up. Check my Twitter. If I change it, I'll let you guys know. But Nurmagomedov, Rakhmonov, Tsarukyan, Vieira, not Vieira, Tsarukyan, Giagos, Gamrot, and instead of Vieira, I'll pivot to yes, I can do that. Brian Kelleher for now. I'll try to switch it up to make it a little different, but that's what we'll roll with today.
Sounds good. And we'll give our quick picks, and I still don't see any questions here. I will kick us off with the quick picks. Give me up top, give me Tsarukyan. Co-main event, give me Rakhmonov, give me Baudot, Thiago Moisés, Nurmagomedov, Rodolfo Vieira, Tafon and Nchukwi, CJ Brown, Sergey Morozov, Durden, Batista, and Frey. Monk, do you have a quick picks for this week?
Yes, sir. We'll go Frey, Kelleher, Durden, Morozov, TJ Brown, Ulberg, Curtis, Nurmagomedov, Giagos, Baudot, Rakhmonov, and Mateusz Gamrot.
And Gordo, how about you?
Sorry, I was still thinking about it. It's going to come down to a battle of Demopoulos and Gamrot for us in that Draftkings contest. Anyways, quick picks for me. I'm taking Arman Tsarukyan, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Baudot, Thiago Moisés, Umar Nurmagomedov, Rodolfo Vieira, Carlos Ulberg, TJ Brown, Sergey Morozov, Cody Durden, Mario Bautista, and we'll pick Jinyu Frey.
Sounds good. And then Weezy, how about you?
I'm going with Tsarukyan, Shavkat, Baudot, Moisés, Umar Nurmagomedov, the Action Man, Tafon and Nchukwi, TJ Brown is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Going with Morozov, Durden, Kelleher, and Fry.
Sounds good. Question. We'll kick this one to Monk. Monk, do you how many points do you think Vanessa would get for a submission?
Well, in her last fight against Silvana Gomez Juarez, first round sub, 91 points. And you, as you know, you only get 90, or you do get 90 for a round one finish. So she scored 1.6 points up until that point, which is about halfway through round one. That was 4 significant strikes. She got knocked down. I expect this one to be pretty low scoring, but that's the bonus. She only has to score 70 points to 10x her. So I'm thinking she scores at least 70 points in a win.
Gordo, Sean saying, do y'all realize how bad this guy sucks at fighting? He's talking about Durden.
Yeah, and it's like styles make matchups, right? And it's like I don't think you can make a claim that JP Base is some world beater. I mean, look how many times he's been knocked down, but the stylistic matchup is there. I know Durden is not some mythical creature on a target, but he has all the skills to win this fight. And I can't always say that a fighter sucks because any fighter can beat me up here, but I do understand that there's risk with it. But I do think Durden has a path to victory. I do think he scores really well.
Let's go. And then Mushroom running us about probability. Yes, sir. Cannot wait for that one. But yeah, guys, we did it. We will kick it around. Monk, let the people know where they can find what we have going on throughout the week. I heard a rumor that you're going live in about an hour 15.
Yes, sir. On the boys show, the Chronic Combat Boys. So be sure to check that out. It's me and Lou Betya from the MMA Engine going live in, just like you said, about 75 minutes. Check me out on Twitter at Monkmatics, on YouTube. I just put out, I think, 3 videos today between my channel and then the MMA Engine. Salary Voodoo's out, Game Theory, where I break down all 12 fights from a DFS perspective, and then the 3 must plays this week. We did nail a couple of them. Got that Roman Dolidze last week, and something else I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe Phil Hawes. But be sure to check that stuff out, and check out all of my friends here content as well, because they have some great stuff.
Thank you, Monk. Gordo, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week.
Well, last year I missed my first event in such a long time, and there were a lot of finishes, a lot of great fights. Well, I'm missing the card again, so that means there's gonna be a lot of great fights I'm gonna miss. So, no, you can find me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. I'll post a lot of stuff there. I have my full slate out early because, like I mentioned, I'll not be here watching it this weekend. But in terms of content, video uploading right now. So my Wi-Fi has been shaky. That is why video uploading on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I also throw out a prop drop that's going out tomorrow, and I'll also have a best bets video on my channel as well. I'm having a lot of fun doing the show with you guys, so hopefully don't curse my Ironman once again, because I don't want to leave you guys doing this. But thank you for having me on. Let's win some money, guys.
Sounds good. Go check out Gordo doing a lot of content, and then also Uncle Weezy. Let the people know where they can find you, way of going on throughout the week.
Yeah, you can find me actually tonight on the Uncle Weezy YouTube channel. I'll be doing Ask Weezy at 10:30 Central Time after the Club and Sub podcast. You can find me on the MMA Engine YouTube channel doing balls deep breakdowns and doing profitability with DFS by the numbers. And then you can find me right here on Pub Sports Radio every Wednesday for the DFS show, every Saturday for the watch along, and every Sunday for Stat Diggers with DFS by the numbers. And the only order of business left, you guys, is the stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 57. Let's get it.
Let's get it. And by the way, Jason Weezy is saying Baudot has not won a fight since 2018. Who did he win the fight against? Do you know the name?
Okay, so like that he might even be talking about the Todd Stout fight, which we have to remind everybody that Alan Baudot lost that fight. He was choked out in the third round by a guy who's never put on a gi and never submitted anybody. And then that dude pissed hot for marijuana. And instead of making the fight a no contest, or instead of doing what you should do and say, oh, marijuana, we don't fucking care, that's not a performance enhancer. Instead of doing those two things, they actually overturned the win to a loss for Todd Stout. So, I mean, Baudot didn't even win that fight. I think the last fight he won was against Yuto Nakajima, who is 0-5. That's the same record as Vyacheslav Kisiev as a pro. So, yeah, this is not a good one for Baudot, but he's fighting Josh Parisian. If he can avoid the spinning fat kick, I think he's going to be in business here.
Yeah, and I actually thought Baudot was the worst UFC heavyweight until I watched tape on Josh Parisian. I think honor to worst heavyweight is between.
Sucker. I don't know. He's down at 205. I'm sorry.
He's down at 205 now. Now it's got to be Parisian now. My goodness. So, yeah, this is the battle for the worst heavyweight. So that should be fun on the main card.
This has to be a loser leaves town match, right? Nobody gets a fifth fight after losing 4 UFC fights.
Absolutely not. I can't believe it's even a fight. But yeah, guys, we did it. That's about it. Follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers, content throughout the week on my channel, DFS by the numbers, on the MMA Engine, probability tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Lots of spots sticking out this week. And then, yeah, guys, that is about it. So leave a like on your way out, subscribe, and best of luck for UFC Vegas 57. We'll talk to you guys very soon. See you.